Hello my dear students and welcome back to my class. Today let us look at the summary of chapter 8 Jalebis and it is written by Ahmed Nadeem Qasim. Before we look at the summary of the chapter, let us look at the mind map first. Point number 1, there was a schoolboy who had just 4 rupees in his pocket and that money he had to pay the school fees. He spends all those money to buy jalebis. Point number 3. The next day he came to know that the scholarship money will be paid the following month. So all his plans, everything was shattered. Point number 4. He tucked his bag under his arm and he left the school. Point number 5. After this, he left the school and then he went to the railway tracks and he sat beside a shade-giving tree. Then, remorseful and scared, he started praying to God for some monetary help because now he was not having any money to pay the school fees. 7th, eventually he was caught when he was returning home. Eventually he was caught by his parents. And 8th, his bitter experience taught him a valuable lesson. Now let us look at the summary of the chapter. Jalebi is a story of a schoolboy who, after a long debate with himself, he yields to the sweet temptation. This school-going boy, who was in 5th standard, was having 4 rupees in his pocket to pay the school fees. But when he went to the school, he got to know that the teacher who was supposed to collect this money, and his name was Master Ghulam Muhammad, he was absent. Hence, the fees would be collected the next day. Now after school, when he was outside, he saw those fresh and hot jalebis coming out of the kadhao in a shop. Although the coins do not talk, but that day they began to speak and they started to persuade him to buy those hot crisp jalebis. Now, how did the coins convince him? They said that he can use those fees money to buy those jalebis, and the fees it can be paid later on with the scholarship money that he'll get. They tried their best to convince him, and after a long debate at last they were successful. The boy spends all of his money in buying those jalebis and now he was penniless. The next day when he went to school, he got to know that the scholarship money was going to be paid the following month. Now with this shocking news, his head began to spin and he didn't know what to do. The teacher said that he would be collecting the money in the recess. Now when the recess bell rang, he tucked his bag under his arms and he left the school. He went to the railway tracks and he sat beside a shade-giving tree. Now remorseful and scared, he started praying to God for monetary help. He started regretting his decision of having spent his fees money. He prays harder and harder, and even he offered namaz and he even recited 10 surahs. But nothing happened. He didn't get the money. The next day, again he did the same thing. Instead of going to school, he got dressed as usual and he turned off to the railway station instead of going to school. Again he started praying, and this time he played a game with God. In this game, he said he would go from a point to a signal, and in the meantime, God should secretly place 4 rupees under this big rock that was there. But when he came back, he found nothing but a worm coiled on it. But eventually, he was caught when he was returning home from the station. After that, whatever happened is history. But later on, he understood and he came to the conclusion that if Allah were to provide all for asking, then man would even today live in nests like vultures and crows, and even wouldn't have learned the art of making jalebis. So this was a summary of the chapter, children. Thank you.